Good afternoon. I am Mike Reed, a fellow graduate of the class of 1958, sharing with you today from Point Loma, California. After graduation from Grossmont, I had planned to attend medical school to try to find a cure for polio, and the backstory to changing majors involved Jonas Salk having his vaccine approved, and then in 1960, my junior year in college, Sabin producing an oral vaccine. Between the two, it appeared that polio was on the way out as a virus in the United States, and my educational goals changed. I received my BA from San Diego State with minors in economics, history, and political science. I then spent the next 3 years in law school at Boalt Hall in Berkeley, California, receiving my JD degree in June of 1965. On my application to law school, I stated that upon graduation, I wanted to defend the indigent, and that's exactly how my career began. In 1965, there were only 2 public defender's offices in California. I did not want to stay in the Bay Area, so I went to work in the Los Angeles County Public Defender's Office, where I remained until I went on a ministry trip to England and Europe in 1967. While in Germany, I thought about staying there and representing military personnel charged with criminal conduct. I interviewed with a famous American firm located in Frankfurt and thought I had a good chance of being hired. I was offered a position, but the offer did not reach me until I had already returned to San Diego. Email and Twitter did not exist in the 60s, and I had already decided that California was my home. Upon my return to San Diego, I opened my own law office representing individuals, primarily indigents, charged with criminal conduct. Many of these cases were appointed by the Superior Court. Having spent almost 2 years in the Los Angeles County Public Defender's Office, I lobbied for a public defender's office in San Diego and helped to establish the Federal Defender's Office, serving on its first board of directors. The County of San Diego's Public Defender Office was established approximately 2 years later. Over the years, I've been involved in many professional organizations within California and the local community, and have served on numerous committees of the state bar. I was elected to the board of directors of the San Diego County Bar Association and served a term as vice president of that organization. I'm admitted to practice law before all courts in the state of California, as well as the United States District Court, the Circuit Court, the Court of Federal Claims, and the United States Supreme Court. The criminal cases I defended are too numerous to recount in any detail. Others have suggested that I should write a book recounting some of my trials. Well, maybe tomorrow, but not today. In passing, I will note that trying a half dozen or more first-degree murder cases that went to the death penalty phase took its toll. Fortunately, no jury ever returned a death penalty verdict for any of my clients. However, to sit at counsel table waiting for that verdict to be returned was both physically and emotionally difficult. In fact, it contributed to my taking a leave of absence from the law. Before going on, I will relate one case situation. I was appointed to represent a late 20s defendant who had previously been in prison for armed robbery and was out on parole. This time he was charged not only with armed robbery of a liquor store, but with the murder of 2 individuals in the store. The prosecution was seeking the death penalty. Without going into all the details, one of the problems we had to deal with was a recorded interview at the jail between the defendant and his auntie. During the interview, she asked him, "Why did you leave the other witnesses alive?" His answer was, "I ran out of bullets." By strategy and tactics, I was able to keep that statement from the jury. He was convicted of first-degree murder, but the jury did not sentence him to death. In 1978, I left the practice of law was licensed as a general building contractor in the state of California, and from June 1978 until June of 1984, I carried out the responsibilities of CEO of my family's construction company. The construction company focused on residential and small commercial construction, and we also built a number of churches here in San Diego County. Missing the challenge of trial work, I returned to law in mid-1984, specializing in construction defects, construction delay claims, insurance issues, commercial and business litigation, until my retirement in 2014. In the 5 years prior to retirement, I worked as a hired gun trial lawyer. Think Paladin, have gun will travel. However, I carried a laptop computer. I consulted and associated with other law firms throughout California representing residential and commercial owners involved in construction defect litigation. One of those lawsuits was against the architects for problems in the design of the new UCLA Medical Center. Ultimately, they settled for over $5 million. In addition to being a member of numerous local, state, and national trial lawyer organizations, I have served our community as a member of the board of directors of a Multiple Sclerosis Society, as a big brother, and on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club of San Diego, and as a vice president of the latter organization. I have served as an expert witness and as a guest speaker on subjects ranging from law office management to trial litigation, and as a mediator in construction defect matters. I met the love of my life at the Boathouse in San Diego. I was there to mentor a young attorney who had clerked for me and was now in private practice and in the middle of a criminal trial. While we were having a drink, this striking woman and a girlfriend walked in and sat down across from us. I was on a limited time schedule as I had plans to meet my parents for dinner. Conversation ensued with the lady, and the next thing I knew, I was inviting her to join me for dinner with my parents. She declined. I told her where I would be after dinner and suggested that if she was interested to meet me for a drink. She did, and we were together for 20 years. We were divorced in 1994, but are still on speaking terms. I married again in March of 2001. That marriage ended quickly, and I remain single to this day. My first marriage gave me a son who now lives in San Francisco, and my 3 grandchildren, 2 boys ages 13 and 6, and a little princess age 4. I also have a stepson who I'm close to, who was in the Navy for 23 years and is now a project manager for Northrop Grumman here in San Diego. He and his wife have twin boys who are now 18. There have been a couple of achievements which I consider milestones in my personal history. At the age of 40, my wife planned a winter trip to Winter Park, Colorado. She had arranged with Hal O'Leary, the founder of a new program designed to offer recreational opportunities to individuals with disabilities, for me to learn how to ski. Now, those of you who remember me from high school recall that I had polio in the mid-40s and was physically unable to participate much in sports. In fact, I started our sophomore year on crutches recovering from a summer corrective surgery. So the whole idea of skiing was more than a challenge. I became what is referred to as a 3-tracker, skiing on one ski with 2 short skis called outriggers. I love the sport and continued to ski until my early 60s. I've included a photo so you can get an idea of what a 3-tracker may look like. Here is a photograph of me skiing at approximately the age of 45. Skiing with all your weight on one leg, you're able to go down the hill pretty quickly. And sports related was learning to play golf. Even with a weak right leg, I have been competitive and had several great scores, several of which were in tournaments. I had a 69 at a local San Diego golf course and a 70 at a course at in Hayden Lake, Idaho.
I've taken the liberty to include the two scorecards reflecting the 69 I shot in 1973 and then the 70 I shot in 1994. In that 20-year period of time, my handicap went from a 9 to an 11. I wish my game still was that good, period.
I've won a couple of San Diego County amateur tournaments playing in a group of similarly skilled players of 8 to 12 handicap. In 1980, my partner and I won the prestigious Rancho Santa Fe member guest.
Here is that trophy, won in 1980. I'm very proud of this trophy as it's a very important local tournament, and I was honored to be on the winning team.
I have played in a few Pro-Am events at Torrey Pines here in San Diego and in the Walt Disney World Classic in Orlando, Florida. Include comments that help you remember the foothiller you knew in 1958. Other than participating in several plays, being involved in student government and singing with the Red Road Choir, the one item that stands out was being the baritone in the Bachelors Quartet. To this day, I cherish that experience and am saddened by the loss in Vietnam of our quartet's lead tenor, Dave Christian.
Here is a photograph during the time we were together rehearsing in my parents' home. That is Dave to the left, John Pumphrey, Mike Vitkauskas, and myself.
Much of my retirement time now is committed to my church and to ministering to the needs of others. I have a homeless person I have been mentoring for over 10 years. He is a genius who just had trouble dealing in the real world. I enjoy reading, cooking, the San Diego Padres baseball team, golf, and of course, travel. Over the years, I've been fortunate to travel. The highlights of my travel include Vietnam and Cambodia, China, Israel, Portugal, Egypt, and Jordan, a cruise through the Panama Canal for my 70th birthday, Caribbean cruises, cruises in the Mediterranean, Adriatic, and Greek Isles, and a river cruise from Budapest to Amsterdam. I have done driving trips through parts of Spain, France, Germany, and the city of Prague. I have visited islands in the Caribbean and several cities in Mexico. I have made almost yearly trips to Hawaii since 1980, where I have a timeshare. My most recent cruise was to the Baltic from Copenhagen with stops, among others, in St. Petersburg, Helsinki, and Stockholm. There have been golf trips to St. George, Utah, Hilton Head, Myrtle Beach, and Hawaii. Many of these trips were with my brother Terry, a 1960 Grossmont grad. A forever memory was a golf trip to Scotland with my dad to play in a father-son tournament at the Old Course at St. Andrews and Carnoustie. Several of my great travel experiences have been with classmates, Larry Durbin, Bill Knowles, Kinsey Humphrey, and the late Kenny Halen. The best of these trips was to London, but the fishing trip we took to Montana was special. I still keep in contact with a number of classmates, including, among others, Paulette Blackwood, Donna Klitzum, and Ed Sardella. I am blessed to have made it to this time in my life and am thankful for all my challenges and experiences. I hope your life has been interesting and fulfilling and that you look forward to tomorrow as much as I do. May God bless each and every one of you.